Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. And I have been listening to the latest Tom Baker Big Finish release, The 9. This will be, what was it, season 11? Let me have a look. Season, yeah, 11B. 11B. This is Tom Baker in between Deadly Assassin, or either in between Deadly Assassin and Face of Evil, or in between Hand of Fear and Deadly Assassin. He's solo. He's on his own in this. So the first thing that surprised me, right? I maybe this was all in the pre-publicity. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. I know that Neris Hughes played a sort of pseudo companion in the first part of this, in the second story in season 11A, right? Season 11A, and then I saw that she was going to be in the future Fourth Doctor releases as a companion. So I expected Neris Hughes to be in this. She isn't, and that did kind of like surprise me, really. Maybe they should have made that the last story in the set, right? Instead of making it in the second story set. Anyway, so I've been listening to this box set. Is it a recommend? Not really. There's one story I really did enjoy, but it's not. I found this one very, very skippable, right? I found this one very skippable indeed, although I didn't do that. So I've listened to it. I'm going to let you know why. Before we get into it, like, share, subscribe, comment. All those things are good. All those things are fan-frickin-tastic. Thank you very much. I am insanely grateful for everybody doing all those things. Actually, I really am. Genuinely, I am. Thank you very much. Sign up my Substack, which is my email newsletter, and I give away free stuff on that. Like free stuff that you haven't seen for a number of years. I got a big collection of Doctor Who magazine and other stuff as well. So I'm sending out stuff that's been out of print for years. Right now, I'm adding. It's an email newsletter. If I did tell you, I send it every day. But right now, I'm going over the Alan Moore Doctor Who backup strips he did in 1980 and 1981. Why these haven't been re-released? I bought all the reprints of the Doctor Who magazine comics because I adore them. I absolutely adore them. And Big Finish, if you're going to do more Doctor Who comic book adaptations, we got Peter Davison. He had some incredible stuff. Stars fell on Stockbridge. But then we got Colin Baker. He could do Voyager. Oh, man, I would love that. I would absolutely adore that, right? But the backup strips never been collected, so I give them out as a little bonus thing. Also, I throw it out there. Like, one day I put on a Gallifreyan Guardian, the Doctor Who magazine news article from like 1990 or from 2000. It's really fascinating. It really genuinely is. I love that. So I throw all that stuff in. Also, of course, I let you know about where all my scintillating content is. If ever I'm bad on YouTube, or when I say whenever I'm going to be bad on YouTube, that's how you can find me. I have I'm on Rumble. I'm also have another YouTube channel, but that's the way to find me. If you want to be super nice, I mean, super duper nice, you can join my pay Substack. It's $5 a month. It's basically an excuse for you to throw me some money, right? I send out digital content there, more exclusives, like my own comics, things like that. Really, just to say thank you. That's really where we're at. Fine! Let's get into the review of this box set. So, this one's called The 9. There we go, doink. This is, so... I don't know really why it's called The 9. It doesn't really... it's not a title that ties together these three stories. You actually get a bonus story in there, which wasn't really much of a bonus. I was like, oh no, I thought I was done. Right? Because I found the second story a bit of a schlep to get through, a bit of a slog to get through. And then I was about to record the review. I was like, oh no, there's another two-parter. But you know, I guess I shouldn't complain about that. So again, this is all Tom Baker's Doctor Solo. I do kind of like how they maintain his look from Deadly Assassin. You know, where he doesn't have the scarf, and he's got just his the Deadly Assassin look, right? I do like how they maintain it. So the stories we have on in this set is Dreams of Avarice by Guy Adams. Freaking love this, right? If you buy the individual stories, this one's worth it, right? I really like this one. I also like the other. They also did another Time Lordy one in the first box set. They're really the only two stories I think in this whole season where I will say, yeah, it's worth it's worth checking out. So Dreams of Avarice features the 9, who is a a villain introduced with the Eighth Doctor as the 11th. He's a fantastic villain, right? Absolutely fantastic villain, suffering from some kind of Time Lord disease where all his incarnations are all active simultaneously. So essentially you have the actors doing a very good job playing all the different incarnations of this Time Lord. It's like the 9, the 11, what else? I think they had the 13. I can't remember. But this is very good because, when you've heard the 9 before, he's always just been a bit annoying and you haven't really got why he's a great villain. Here you really get his insanity. The 9 is a how would I describe it? A kleptomaniac, right? It's not just a kleptomaniac. He loves stealing stuff and he wants to own everything. He wants to own everything and control everything, and that's basically his raison d'etre through everything. And it really works, right? It really works as a scary villain, and it works very well with Tom Baker's Doctor as well. But I would like to see more of the 9. Who played the 9? He did a really good. It was the same person who played him last time we heard him. It is. I'm looking through. John Heffernan. John Heffernan played really good, right? Really, really good. The 9 isn't your average robber. A ferociously intelligent and murderous kleptomaniac. I thought I just made up klepto. I thought it was klepto. Oh no, it must be kleptomaniac. Time Lord with regenerative dissonance. He's a far more dangerous adversary than most security details that are used to. So it's useful that the Doctor is on hand to stop him. Essentially, he teams up with an average, it feels like 1970s copper, right? Who's trying to track him down from stealing something. This time more than ever, the 9 is about to pull off the greatest heist of his career. Though could the consequences be far worse than the crime? Yes, right, and that's basically his character, right? It's a really interesting crime caper that involves Time Lord technology to do something, and I don't want to spoil it because it's really good, right? To do something insane, do something really, really huge and insane. In general, really great story. Really love the story. It rattled along. It amused me. Tom Baker is fantastic as always. This one I could very much imagine in my mind's eye. The second story is by Simon Bernard and Paul Morris, Shellshock, and this one didn't work because it wasn't quite as snappy. The episodes were 35 minutes long each, and it was just too long. Honestly, there was so much flab in these stories, right? And it was actually could have been a good story, but too much flab, right? It needed somebody with a big pen to just X out, like, no, you don't need this, you don't need this, you don't need it. You need somebody to be a bit brutal, right? Because it's a bit self-indulgent, and because of that, it's boring. It didn't really work. The feel of the story starts off somewhat like War Games. So imagine Tom Baker in War Games, and it evolves into a more like invisible enemy type of esoteric invisible enemy type of story by the end. The ending's actually much better than the last part is the best. The first 3 parts just kind of like drag, right? Just a lot of dragging. When the TARDIS lands behind German lines at the height of the First World War, and this Doctor Who is all over the place. In the First World War, he's freaking everywhere. He finds himself inadvertently transported back to a hospital full of traumatized soldiers. They're suffering from shell shock, but something else. Something causing vivid nightmares that chill the blood. Something not of this place. Things are not quiet on the Western Front. So, you get a lot of very cod German accents going through the whole thing. It does feel a lot allo-allo-y to me, right? So you get a lot of the German accents. We are the ones who ask the orders. You ask the questions. There's a lot of that. The story suffers by Tom Baker not showing up for about, I don't know, it seemed to be too long, right? Again, the episodes were too long, but he doesn't show up for a while. I think it's very important. You need Tom Baker's character, right? You need him around there. You need to establish that character, because that's really why we're here, right? That's why we're here. So when you get there, they're in this hospital suffering, people suffering from PTSD, essentially. But there's some alien menace involved that's taking over people and using alien technology to give the Germans these ultimate tanks out of nowhere. It turns out doing the same thing to the British, and this alien entity is just interested in war and pushing everything. But then by the time you get to the end, for me, it gets much more interesting when this alien entity is non-corporeal and doesn't even have the ability to reason. It's more of a force of nature. So that I really liked, right? That I thought was very interesting. It was just, oh man, flabby, like just flabby getting there. And so for me, not really a recommend, right? Not really a recommend. It wasn't enjoyable. Maybe a 25-minute episode might have been. And finally, we have the really disappointing Peak season, right? This is all about Mervyn Peake, the person who wrote was it Gormenghast? Why is there no HD release of that? BBC did a beautiful production of it, I think just before the 2005 series, before the excellent series came back. It was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful. But the trouble with this is you don't know anything about Mervyn Peake, right? You don't learn anything about Mervyn Peake. They don't set it. They just assume that you know everything, which was somewhat annoying, right? I'm in the middle of reviewing the season 22 box set. By the way, freaking awesome. I mean, this is freaking awesome. Loving it. Absolutely loving it. So I'm at Time Lash right now. I just finished Time Lash. I'm on to the Two Doctors. And Time Lash is a lot better than I remember it. It's got a much more solid, workman-like script, which is how I would describe an average Big Finish story, right? Not that exciting, but, workman-like script. So in that story, you very, very deftly. I was really surprised. I don't remember Pip and Jane Baker having this skill. They very deftly educate you about Stevenson and his rocket and who he is and what his life was, without it like getting in the way of the story. It was actually part of the story. That really worked. That's completely missing from here. You know nothing about Mervyn Peake, right? And essentially they called in something you work out pretty quickly is a virtual reality environment. And it's so essentially Mervyn Peake visits Gormenghast, right? That's essentially what it is, which was interesting, right? But I think it would have worked better having it start off with him being in the TARDIS, like maybe he's sketching something in the cloister room or something like that. The way they bring him in, it just seems to be like, oh, we're going to do a story about Mervyn Peake, right? And we're just going to find a way of shoehorning it in. But essentially, within 10 minutes, you have Mervyn Peake traveling in the TARDIS with the Doctor. You didn't really need that first 10 minutes. Again, these episodes are about 35 minutes long each. I understand the 25-minute episode length in classic Doctor Who was something imposed by schedulers, imposed on top. But also that imposition made the stories rattle at a much better pace, at a much more workable pace. So after an embarrassing encounter, the Doctor tries to make amends to Mervyn Peake by offering him a trip in the TARDIS. That stuff just doesn't really work. It's a trip to the famous author will never forget. Soon, he and the Doctor find themselves trapped in a nameless city, working as newspaper cartoonists. That's actually quite nice. Where are they? More importantly, where is the TARDIS? And more important than that, how can they escape with their lives? So the core of the story in this is good, right? The core of the story is clever, and I like the characterization of Mervyn Peake, but I didn't learn anything about him, right? And it wouldn't be so egregious if I wasn't watching a story which I had the impression was a very weak story, Mark of the Rani, where they did all that very, very, very well, very, very deftly, and they did it, within a normal running time. So so this was just a two-part story. It's a bonus. And so this set is just not a recommend, I'm afraid. It really isn't. I did enjoy Dreams of Avarice, but in general, this whole two box sets have been a bit of a damp squid. Let's see a quick look at what the last one was. There was one story on this I liked. Blood of the Time Lords and Dreams of Avarice. They're the two. Ravencliff Witch, which is going to see Daenerys Hughes return. I think with who was it? With Louise Jameson as Leela, right? That'll be I think next year. But yeah, it's okay. I wouldn't poke it in the eye with a stick, I wouldn't say, oh no, it's not bad. It's just not scintillating. It's not great. So for me, it really isn't a recommend. Maybe you'll enjoy more. That's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. As I said, like, share, subscribe, and have yourselves a fantastic day.